Once I was involved in big-time politics, my decisions could affect thousands of people. I had a cool car, money, connections, influence, success, and recognition, and it seemed like everything was going perfectly. But suddenly I realized that all these achievements hadn't brought me happiness. In this video, I'll tell you why I left it all behind to start from scratch and find my own path. At one time, my life was the epitome of success, with gratitude from high-ranking officials. The status of a people's representative, a teaching and legal career of this commanded respect. I was building my career, gaining recognition, and establishing strategic relationships, and it seemed like everything was going according to plan. In the eyes of those around me, I was someone who, at a very young age, had already achieved everything he aspired to. But one day, sitting in my class Mercedes, I felt that something was wrong. On the outside, there was success, but inside, there was emptiness. This feeling wouldn't let go, as if someone invisible was shouting at me, "This life isn't yours." Have you ever felt like everything around you just isn't yours? At first, I tried to silence that voice. I worked more, searched for new goals, and set ambitious tasks for myself. But the higher I climbed, the clearer it became that I was running in the wrong direction. All around me, I saw countless people who spent their whole lives chasing power, recognition, and wealth, yet never found peace. I suddenly realized that I didn't want to end up like those people and live that kind of life. It was a difficult realization, but a very important one for me. It was at that moment that I understood something had to change. I bought a one-way ticket and set off for Thailand. Why Thailand? Honestly, I just wanted freedom. The sea, the sun, the jungle, the fruit, all of it was enticing as a chance to reset. Write in the comments. I'm sure you've also thought about living remotely by the sea. But for me, at that time, it wasn't just an escape, it was an attempt to find myself. And in alchemy, this process is called the path of the great war. It's when a person leaves everything behind, starts searching for themselves, and discovers their own inner philosopher's stone. Back then, I didn't yet know that this whole process would lead me to create a mineral that would change not only my life, but the lives of many other people as well. And so, leaving everything behind, I set off into complete uncertainty, without any clear plan or even any particular expectations. And I admit I was scared, but inside me there was a quiet yet clear voice saying, "You are doing everything right." And so in Thailand I encountered a simple way of life that I had never even thought about before. The people around me were happy, without millions in their bank accounts, fancy cars, or high status. They enjoyed every moment, appreciated nature, and found joy in the simplest things. And that was the first lesson I learned back then. Happiness is not the sum of material achievements, but a state of the soul. And starting from scratch turned out to be easier than I thought. Having left behind my rat race, ambitions, finances, and career, I found myself in a place where no one knew anything about. Life became simple. No hustle, no status. I met people who, in essence, had nothing, yet they radiated joy. And through their example, I saw how little is needed for true and profound happiness. But despite all this, my inner conflict still remained. Sometimes I would ask myself whether this was foolish and if it was worth leaving everything behind. And it was in these moments that I began to search for answers. One of those answers came through my conversations with monks. Imagine a simple monastery in the middle of the jungle. Minimalism and absolute silence. Peace and tranquility. They gave me my first practice tool, observe my own breathing. It sounds simple, but try sitting for an hour, counting your inhales and exhales without getting distracted. My mind protested, but then understanding came, and for the first time in my life, I felt the noise of my thoughts quiet down. Have you ever noticed how difficult it can be to simply be silent within yourself? Write about it in the comments. I have to say, meditation and these practices became a doorway to a new world for me. For the first time, I truly felt inner peace, joy, and happiness that didn't depend on any external circumstances. And I started to notice things within myself that I had simply ignored before. Fears, inner blocks, and old beliefs. And with each passing day, I understood more clearly and deeply that true freedom and joy are not external attributes, but the ability and opportunity to be in harmony with yourself. Another practice that the monks gave me was to walk with a glass of water held out at arm's length. And it was important that not a single drop of water spilled from that glass. And that hour taught me patience and concentration. And such simple things as a breath or a step began to reveal themselves to me in a new way. And it turned out that it is precisely here, in these seemingly small actions, that true harmony lies. The alchemists of the past believed that true, profound transformation begins with concentration and relaxation. I experienced this myself. I realized that any great change begins with something small. If you can't hold a glass of water in your hand, how can you maintain your balance in life? If you can't control your thoughts, how can you control your actions, which give rise to deeds, and deeds which shape your destiny? And these realizations began to fundamentally change me. I began to realize that every detail in our lives is part of a great and harmonious system. If we want to change something on a global scale, we must first start with ourselves. Gradually, I started to notice how my ideas about happiness were completely changing. If before it was about things, status, achievements, or someone else's recognition, now it's about inner balance and a state of inner peace. Your external reality begins to harmonize when you find peace within yourself. In alchemy, it is said that the philosopher's stone does not simply reveal itself to a person, but rather becomes a part of them. At that time, I still didn't know that my path would lead me to create the Kovalyev Mineral. Each discovery along this journey deepened my understanding. I began to realize that every moment of this life is a kind of alchemical process. We face challenges, undergo transformations, and as a result, something beautiful and new is born. Just like in alchemy, when something very precious is created from seemingly simple elements, I realized that I myself am going through this process of transforming external success into true spiritual fulfillment. I wouldn't say that this path is easy. There were doubts, fears, and moments when I thought about going back to my familiar comfort zone. But every time I chose to move forward, I felt deep inside that I was heading towards something truly great and genuinely authentic. I began to understand that the most important, the main meaning of life is to learn to listen to the call of your heart and to follow it. This path will inevitably lead to great discoveries. At the very beginning, I faced a lot of questions. For example, how to deal with the doubts that regularly arose in me back then. Sometimes, in the evenings before going to bed, I would ask myself, is this really the right decision? After all, I hadn't done all that much to be considered successful in the conventional sense. Have you ever had the feeling that you're going against all the rules? Write about it in the comments. And then a key moment came to me completely unexpectedly. One morning I woke up with a deep understanding that everything I was doing couldn't be mistakes, because I was following the call of my heart and that this was the path itself. And along with that, a new, previously unknown feeling of deep faith and confidence began to grow inside me. And the deeper I immersed myself in self-awareness practices, the more I realized that everything in this world is interconnected. Matter, energy, and consciousness, all of it, is a single system that operates according to certain harmonious laws. This entire journey was not a series of coincidences. It was leading me to create a tool that would help people find their own inner balance and harmony. And along this path, I began to notice that every step I took in this direction was like a clue. Each step gave me countless opportunities to unravel this secret and mystery. And on this journey, every event, every encounter brought me new understanding. That was when I learned that matter is merely a form of energy. If we learn to work with it, we can effectively change our inner state. That's how I began to explore the influence of energy on a person. I studied ancient alchemical knowledge and modern scientific discoveries, listened to and learned from people who had already achieved their own inner balance. And all of these became the most incredible journey and adventure for me, during which I experienced, to say the least, miracles. And on this path, gradually, step by step, I came to the discovery of my own formula and tool for creating the mineral. This is how the Kovalyev Mineral was born. It was not created as a commercial project, but as a tool for my journey, which allows a person to come into resonance with themselves, with their true inner nature. The mineral does not just affect the physical body, but also works deeply with a person's energy, helping to remove blocks, activate hidden resources, and achieve inner harmony. Its structure interacts with the biofield of the person who takes the mineral, filling them with the forces of nature. And this mineral is not just a dietary supplement. It is precisely the tool that allows you to hear your inner truth, delve into the process of self-discovery, and reach a new level of awareness. Its structure creates a special connection between a person and the nature around us, the biorhythms of nature, allowing one to find balance between mind, body, and soul. And if you feel that you are now on the threshold of change, if you are ready to listen to your soul and find balance between your inner and outer worlds, this tool can help you. Kovalyev Mineral is not just a supplement. It is a philosophy that conveys the wisdom of ancient alchemists through matter. It is the key to your own awakening. After all, life is real magic, and when you follow your own path, it reveals true wonders to you. And perhaps Kovalyev's Mineral will become as much of a revelation for you as it has for me and for thousands of others. Try it for yourself. Learn more by following the link below. And take one more step toward yourself and your inner light, because your happiness begins precisely with this light and balance.